blue jeans of superheroes. Like, you can get so much food on them that you don't even notice.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted. And this time we read Agitation 3.3.
3.3. The chapter in which they do not yet rob a bank.
No, it's not a dramatic cut. Instead, it is delicious planning.
Yes.
I think it's me to summarize.
That sounds right.
So Lisa just showed up. She said, hey, we're going to rob a bank.
Gonna rob a bank?
And immediately Brian says, nope, terrible idea. And the first half of the chapter is the Undersiders debating whether it's even a good idea to do this kind of job, this particular job. Brian initially lays out sort of like, hey, look, robbing banks isn't actually that great of a payoff, especially in Brockton Bay, where they're incentivized to keep, not a lot of cash on hand. And it's a time-consuming type of job, which means they're almost certainly going to attract attention from capes. And it seems really silly to pick a high-risk, low-reward type of job compared to what they've been doing before. Alec and Rachel are a little bit more like, yeah, sounds fine. Sort of like, we like money, we like fighting people. Yeah. It's this kind of thing.
They're like,
sounds
we'll
good
have
for
a fight? Great. Yeah.
Right, it sounds good for our rep. And Lisa holds back throughout all the objections, and then she counters by, one, identifying that even though, yes, they probably will have to fight capes, the bank they're going to rob, the Central Bay Bank, is very close to Arcadia High School, which is where most of the wards attend high school. So the wards are likely to be able to respond most quickly, but they cannot probably all 6 or 7 of them leave school at the same time because that would be suspicious. New Wave, one of the other hero teams in the city, that's Glory Girl's team, probably won't respond because this Central Bay is clearly like protectorate or ward's jurisdiction.
Well, I think, if the wards show up, they can't get involved. That would be stepping on toes.
Yeah. So the protectorate themselves will be out of town doing something else. I forget what it was. If
they have an event. I don't think we learned what the event is.
We don't know what it is. They're going to be out of town, so they're not going to run into any of the toughest mature superheroes. They're going to run into the junior team, and probably not any of New Wave, and probably not even all of the junior team. So the risk is much lower than Brian was initially saying. And Lisa says that the boss is sweetening the pot beyond what their haul would typically be. Lisa, of course, has picked a time that it would be optimal to hit this bank in order to get the most cash. But the point is the boss is really sweetening the deal cash-wise. It seems like what the boss wants is that a job happen at this particular time. And Lisa's actually the one who came up with doing a bank robbery.
Yes.
So once Lisa comes back with all of that, Brian is like, okay, lower risk, higher reward. I'm in. And we turn to kind of hear, like, how does Taylor feel about it? She's very much kind of caught out. Initially, she's like, oh, well, Brian seems hesitant and he's making some good points, tries to play that card. But she doesn't really put up any of her own arguments. And by the time Lisa finishes talking about how awesome the job is going to be, it's too late, and Taylor is swept up into planning and reluctantly, helps pitch some ideas, sort of thinking like, well, maybe I can reduce the harm that happens, with
making
my
change
feedback.
from the inside. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually they have a pretty solid plan. We don't get a lot of the details of the bank job plan, but we do then spend the rest of the chapter getting a rundown on who the wards are, what their powers are, and kind of what the initial strategy might be when the Undersiders face them. Yeah. So Taylor feels squicky about the fact that she's going to have to be fighting these heroes, but we get into all of their powers. I'm sure we'll go into them quite a bit. And once we have gone through all of that, we basically sum up and say, okay, it's
2 days from now.
Yeah. This is Tuesday around noon. The bank job is happening on Thursday. And that's where the chapter ends.
Exciting stuff. I will say I was not at all expecting to start the chapter with Brian objecting.
Yeah.
That just totally took me by surprise. Yeah, he makes some great points. It was funny to me because that's sort of been my prototypical, okay, she's going to do a job with them. They're probably going to rob a bank. So because I've had that in my head, I was not at all expecting Brian to be like, no, we shouldn't rob a bank. I was like, oh, I guess that's a bad type of job to do. And he did have some really good points.
Yeah. What did you think of that? It's sort of a Brian versus Lisa conversation. But what did you think of that back and forth?
I feel like my main takeaway was, okay, the boss wants to have a job done at this time.
Ooh, okay.
It supports, I think, one of my boss theories. I've had several. But my theory that the boss is someone who wants to be able to sort of control the flow of supervillainy and create distractions. There's someone who wants to have multiple teams in play and doesn't feel the need to exert really fine-grained control over this team. That would be a lot of work, but, wants to have teams like this in their back pocket so that, they can unleash them at certain times. Yeah. So probably some sort of, villain mastermind. I assume there's a little more to it, but, I think that is the role, the reason they're supporting this team.
Yeah. And I mean, there's not really anything to go on, but any theories come to mind as to, why you would pull the lever that's, Undersiders do job?
You want a distraction, so that you want the wards to be busy? Well, I guess Lisa picked specifically the bank, but you want heroes to be busy so that heroes don't show up at whatever job you're pulling.
Yeah. I mean, you said Lisa picked the job, but presumably the job, if it's the Undersiders, the job will be in town. There's no reason to think that the boss wouldn't also know that the mature protectorate would be out of town, right? So you're still working with 2/3 of hero
and
response
Lisa said
possible.
She suggested the bank robbery, but we don't know that the boss wasn't I'd like it to be in this region, of the city or something.
That's also true. And
she
also,
might just not have mentioned it.
We also don't know that we can trust anything that Lisa says.
That's so true. At some point, the team says, they're why? Why would he match? Because he's going to match 2-to-1 the money they get. Or make them whole at 25,000 as a minimum if they don't get enough for that. And their theory is he wants us to be impressive. He wants the team he's backing to be impressive, and this would raise our profile. Which, no, obviously not. That's such a straw man theory here. I guess they believe it. They probably are a little bit hampered here by wanting to see themselves as the most important players in the scenario. It feels to me like they are one of many, many playing pieces that this boss controls.
Interesting.
And the boss doesn't really care what happens to them. Obviously he wants them to be in good shape so he can continue using them. You want to maintain your assets.
Right.
But he is not invested in their future, in their well-being, for, its own sake.
Right. And we got in the second interlude, we got a list of sort of villains in Brockton Bay, and the Undersiders were kind of part of that, grab bag, right? They're by no means a major team. And
I don't think they think they're a major team, but they think they're a major team to their boss.
Yes.
And I bet the boss has a lot of teams.
Yes. But they do think they could be a major team to be. There's some ambition.
There is ambition. They don't want to
especially
stay
coming
at
from
their level.
Alec and Rachel, but also I think from Lisa. I really liked this argument between Lisa and Brian. I feel like it says a lot about both of them. Mm-hmm. I think maybe especially about Lisa. But, I mean, first of all, Brian's no. And then Lisa's come on, it's a rite of passage for dastardly criminals like us. She's such a dork. I love her.
Yes.
It's amazing. Then when Brian starts objecting, Lisa nodded and smiled as he spoke. I thought for a second that she was going to say something, but she didn't. I mean, maybe this is her...
She's just letting him get out his thing.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit her power at work telling her to hold her tongue, but it's a classic, you know what? I've been in this position before. We learned that Brian made similar objections to the casino
which seems
heist
to have gone well,
job. Yeah. So in this moment, she's holding back and waiting. And it seems clear, again, another great line, he does make good points, but I have better ones. And then she a little bit, like, dismisses Brian's objections as being due to his, like, conservative personality or, like, cautious personality. But she has also, I think, anticipated all of his objections and has come ready with the, like, you know, Brian's going to want to avoid a cape fight. I came up with a job that'll do that. Brian's going to want extra money. I asked the boss for extra money, and I got it. And she's sort of like, you know, doing Brian a disservice a bit, because it's not like he then goes on to be like, no, we still shouldn't do it. Like, he's not overcommitted to his idea. He, like, pretty rationally is like, oh, yeah, risk is lower, reward is higher. Yeah, I'm in. This sounds good. And then he's very productive in the ensuing conversation where they're actually, like, getting down to planning.
Yeah, I think it reinforced my impression of him as sort of a cautious, rational, reasonable person. And she has a little bit of... I feel like she's a little smug without being arrogant. Which is, it's like, she's smug... Yeah. She's smug in an appealing way.
Yeah. I think smug's a good word.
It's that power of hers.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the taste of Lisa's power that we got in the chapter?
Yes.
There's this scene where, like, when they get into the actual planning... where she basically, like, folds out a blueprint and is just, like, basically marking it up with, like, all of the stuff that her power is telling her. And then, like, the detail that I love is occasionally she has to feed it something concrete.
Yes.
So, like, she looks up a picture, just one picture of the bank manager in front of the bank manager's desk.
And then she knows where that desk is.
Yeah, and she's like, I know where the desk is, and now I can fill in a whole other set of details.
Yes.
It's so cool. And it's such a good example of... kind of how it works, even without getting the inside view.
You know what it reminds me of? Just like, this is the image that I go to for some reason, is you remember like old school Minesweeper, where like sometimes you would click on a cell and then you'd get this whole sea of like, because you'd have like an island with no mines. So satisfying. I feel like that's what her power is like all the time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that's a great analogy for her power, because, you know, you can still click on a mine. Right? Like, you still might get it wrong, but it's like you're getting a lot of information.
And we learn about limitations of powers. And we learn about limitations of powers. We learn about the Manton effect. And what Lisa says, for most of us, there's a restriction about using our powers on living things. The reach of powers generally stops at the outside of a person or animal's body. What it sounds like is that Lisa actually very much cannot read people's minds. Like, she maybe can see what happened to people. Like, she can see what happened to the outside of their body, like where they went, that they were stung by a bunch of bugs. Like, but she cannot, I'm assuming from this, we don't really know, she cannot read people's thoughts, which might be why she can't tell that Taylor's going to betray them.
That's a really good...
And she can't tell that Taylor is trustworthy either.
Yeah, I think that's a really good insight, that her power is not anything psychic. And it is based on...
It's information, yeah.
Yeah, it's based on information.
It also sounds like... I was listening to our episode where I talked about, like, maybe she can tell that Taylor's going to be part of the team and therefore she's going to trust her. I don't think she has any future perceptions. Yeah. Like, she can tell that the Protectorate has an event scheduled, but she can't see that event happening ahead of time.
Right.
If it hadn't been scheduled yet, she wouldn't know that it was going to happen.
Right.
This also made me think, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I wonder if Emma, going back to her, if Emma does have some sort of future-seeing powers, and once she got them, she dropped Taylor because she can see that Taylor is going to be a villain, or because she can see whatever Taylor is going to do to her in the narrative.
Oh, that's an interesting
and it's a little bit of a
self-fulfilling
prophecy.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, good predictions.
Yeah, a little bit of a digression.
Yeah, so should we quickly talk a little bit about Alec and Rachel?
I was just going to say, yeah. So Alec, we get to see a little bit more of. So Brian is like, here are the reasons it's a terrible idea. And Alec is like, I kind of just want to do it anyway. Like, we'll get on the front page. It's like a big deal. Huge for our rep, he says.
Yeah, and then Alec's like, I could use another $3,000. And Brian's like, for what?
Yeah, so he is a little bit less, he's definitely less cautious. He kind of drifts away during the strategy conversation, maybe the tactics conversation. Mm-hmm. And Taylor's like, I couldn't tell if he was bad at it or if he just didn't care. I was leaning towards he just didn't care. And that does seem to be the right read. Like, he kind of wants to sail through life he's a super villain and, you know, he wants to play video games and have fun and be cool.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to have the sort of cautious, strategic approach to it that Brian has. Yeah. Which, you know, we saw already in him being like, fighting is hard. You're holding back. If this isn't worth it, I'm just going to stop.
I will say, I mean, on the one hand, he leaves the planning and doesn't contribute, and Taylor kind of looks down on him. On the other hand, he makes them lunch. But
Taylor's finally having lunch with them.
But on the other hand, it's like boy dinner. He brought us a plate of pizza pockets along with assorted sodas. So, like, you know, it didn't take him that long, right? Like,
that's true. It's not like he was whipping up a casserole.
Yeah.
It is very much like, this is a bunch of teenagers living on their own. Yeah. This is what they're eating.
It was, a very cute detail.
Yeah. So, Rachel, we didn't see as much. She wants to have a fight. You know, there was a thing where she was like, so they're going to fight us? Great. That's what we do. We used to win our fights even when, you know, Taylor wasn't here. Mm-hmm. And Brian points out it's because they chose their battles, but...
I will say, kind of a backhanded compliment to Taylor. Yeah. That's what I made of that. It's sort of like, we were winning even before Taylor joined, and now we'll win more.
Yeah,
like that's the second half.
Right.
On the other hand... Taylor does not... I've been saying Rachel. Taylor does not think of her as Rachel. Taylor thinks of her as bitch throughout the chapter, even though they're not in costume, which isn't surprising.
Right. Definitely a character choice there on the part of the writing. Yeah, and then in the end, when Taylor's like, is this a good idea? Rachel's like, you don't have to come. So just, I mean, the things that we kind of already knew about her. She likes to fight. She isn't happy that Taylor's in the group and would be happy to get rid of her. Yeah. So not a ton of new information.
Yeah. Right, yeah. She recognizes Taylor's an asset, doesn't like her.
Yes. And actually, she recognizes Taylor's an asset, but she's kind of like, but we don't need her. We already won.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. The other dynamic that I picked up on is Taylor initially, when they're like, well, what do you think, Taylor? Like, you should weigh in. Uh-huh. I ventured, I think Brian makes a good case. It seems reckless. Bitch snorted. I think I saw Alec roll his eyes. Uh-huh. So funny. I honestly am on their side in this entirely. Like, nobody likes a simp in these kinds of conversations. She's totally trying to hide behind Brian's analysis and stall for time, which we know is because she...
doesn't want to commit villainy.
Hasn't fully committed to going through with the ruse yet. But it's like, it's so annoying. To me, this is like, they're saying like, well, Taylor's just sucking up to Brian. Like, this sucks. Like, we don't want
Maybe they know she has a crush. Maybe they can tell.
Maybe they can tell. But then later at the end, when she is, you know, starting to worry that basically she's not going to be able to argue her way out of this, she says something like, well, there's so many maybes. I don't know. That's the way these things go, Taylor, Brian said, his tone a bit terse. I think we've done a pretty good job of covering all the bases. I didn't mean to sound like I was criticizing your plan. Our plan. Uh-huh. So Brian, I think, is also aware that Taylor is kind of like not holding her own or trying to hide. And I think he's like intentionally being like testing her a little bit. Yeah. Like, no, I want to make sure that you're on board. Yeah. Right. In a slightly...
it is hugely risky. You have a new team member who you don't know if you can really trust yet to do this job that is, you know, Brian had good reasons for objecting to it. And maybe Lisa makes a good point that, like, maybe it's worth it. But there's an argument for starting with something a little bit easier with your new member who you maybe think might not totally have your backs. You haven't seen her have your back yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's true. They are still putting a lot of faith in her.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I think it's kind of like, well, they all came together, they didn't know each other beforehand, and it went fine. So if they pull someone else in, it'll also go fine. Like, they don't have experience with someone joining and it messing things up.
Right.
So they're all really young.
What do you think of Taylor's reluctance with this job in particular?
So what she says is hostages could get hurt. She doesn't like it because there's the risk of people getting hurt. It doesn't help that there's a chance of her going to jail, which is going to hurt her if she ever tries to be a hero, especially, you know, maybe her identity wouldn't be revealed, but certainly her cape identity would be revealed.
Yeah, so there's like a moral line there, but there's also just a reputation argument there.
Well, yes. Yeah. But what she says later on is someone could get hurt I think I cared about that more than about the possibility of going to jail. And I was like, really? Is that just because you haven't thought about the possibility of going to jail? Because, like, that's a great ethical stance, but, like, it seems a little, like, oh no, someone broke their arm. I wish I'd gone to jail instead. Like, that's just it's a hard thing to really mean. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe we should all feel like that, but, like, do we? I feel like I'm not a good enough person to believe her.
Yeah.
But she also is 15, and she probably, like, when I was 15, like, I held my ideals very strongly and would have probably have believed this of myself, even though now I would be skeptical of my willingness to make that sacrifice.
But it's interesting. It's also, maybe that's a good line to draw, a bad line to draw. It's also the only line to draw where she can participate, right? They're going to be robbing a bank. And what she's saying is...
She can help mitigate damage, yeah.
Robbing the bank is illegal, and if caught, I will go to jail. Because I am breaking the law, and I guess I'm getting on board with breaking the law. But then she's like, but I can help make the plan to reduce the possibility of harm. Like, I can control that, and I can be like, well, that's the thing that I care about. And actually, that is in line with my morals.
One thing she never says is, robbing this bank would be wrong. Like,
that's true.
Even in her head, she doesn't care about the bank losing this money.
That is true.
Yeah. Just an interesting thing. Like, she doesn't have this sort of sense of like, but the money belongs to the bank and us taking it would be so evil. Like, she's more like, civilians could get hurt. Yeah. Which, like, I think that's probably the correct, value
true.
calculation.
And I give Taylor credit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very fair. Very fair.
But it also, like, no, okay, I was going to minimize the risk that, like, innocent people would get hurt. It probably is. Like, if you're having a superhero versus supervillain battle, there probably is a really real risk that people will get hurt.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to be people there. They're going in, like, the early afternoon, is that right?
Yeah, like middle of the day or something.
Middle of the day, yeah.
During the school day, we know.
During the school day, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of that, a couple things on that. First of all, I was just thinking, the boss really wants this to happen at a specific time. I bet that he has a plan to take on the new wave.
Okay.
And he wants the wards distracted so he can take on the new wave, like, in peace.
Yeah. Keeps the heroes isolated. I like that.
The other thing I was thinking, so Arcadia High is where the wards go to school. It's maybe not where all of them go to school, but it sounds like, that was the impression I got. It's where they go to school. This is the school that Taylor couldn't get into because there's a wait list.
Correct.
She could have just joined the wards and gone to Arcadia High. Her reason for not doing that was, like, she didn't want more teenage BS and, like, rules and schedules and adults being involved. But, like, she could have escaped her bullying situation.
Yeah.
It would have been a really good choice.
Well, but did she know before this conversation? Was it an open secret that the wards all go to Arcadia? Or is that... I think that might be intel that Tattletale has versus Taylor knowing that the wards all go to this other high school.
It's not clear, but the way it's talked about, it sounds like it's common knowledge. Like, Tattletale says, people know the wards are attending Arcadia, they just don't know who they are. So it sounds like people in general know. And Taylor says she's seen stuff about the wards on TV. I doubt it's a secret where they go to school.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. It's amazing that she, despite her saying she wants to be a hero, she refused to join the group of kids her age who are heroes and go to the school where she could be free of her bullies, and instead joined this group of villains.
Well, but what's the difference? It's her, like, lack of trust in authority.
That is, like, very true.
Because the wards are part of the protectorate and they all have to attend school, and, like, she probably correctly anticipates it is not going to be an escape from her life. It's just going to be a different version of her life that's similar. And
now she's, like, sort of on this solo mission of sabotage, and, like, that's really cool and exciting. And she gets both things. She gets to feel like she's part of a group, and she gets to feel like she has this individual secret mission.
Yeah.
Where nothing's regulating her.
And we don't really know, we haven't seen an example of a non-ward, non-new wave solo hero.
And we do know there are a bunch.
Yeah.
We hear that in this, actually. When Brian's talking, he says there's 3 big superhero teams in the city. I think that's the Protectorate, the Wards, and New Wave.
Right.
Figure there's another dozen heroes that fly solo. That actually sounded low to me.
Yeah.
Given how many supervillain gangs there are, but I guess a lot of the heroes do join groups, so...
Yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting just that Taylor sees herself as one of the solo heroes.
Yeah.
And not as joining the Wards.
Yeah,
Even though I think you make a good point that, like, at least it might be worth taking the gamble. But maybe it's sort of like once you do it, you can't go back once you're in the system.
Maybe,
It'd be interesting to see if we learn more.
And she does seem to have this sort of lone wolf desire.
Yeah.
Despite, like, what she really wants is friends, and now she has them.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about with sort of the bank job planning portion before we go on to talk about the wards? One
thing that I noticed, there's a line. Oh, I was intrigued. I liked the line, this was a robbery, not a heist. That was a great point.
Yeah, they're sort of like, no, we're not going to be going through vents or anything.
Yeah. But what this says is, so Lisa outlined a general plan. As soon as I read that line, I was like, oh, so it's going to go pretty well. Like, because the rule is, I mean, this is really the rule for heist movies, but the rule in general is, if the narrative tells you the plan ahead of time, it's going to go very wrong. If the narrative doesn't tell you the plan, that means it probably won't go perfectly, but it can go pretty close to right because you'll be seeing it in real time and you'll be delighted, entertained by what you see. Whereas if it's going to go really wrong, they have to tell you it ahead of time so you can see that it's going wrong and so that you kind of get the benefit, like enjoyment of the plan.
Yeah.
And then you see it go wrong.
I wrote down the exact same note, but you explained it perfectly. I think, so the narrative law of planning means that the aspects that will work out are, we know how we get in, we know who does what when we're inside, and we know how we want to get out.
Right. We don't know what any of those things actually are because they didn't tell us, because maybe they can still go right. But there have to be twists. Like, they're definitely going to face these wards, and it's going to be really dangerous. I mean, these wards, their powers sound really intense.
Yes, they do.
I was also surprised at how few there are. I feel like I keep being surprised by the small numbers here. It makes sense. I guess not that many people have powers. It can't be like hundreds of kids in the ward. And also, this is only the northeast chapter of the Protectorate. It's not like all the wards in the country. But like, there are only like 6 or 7 of them.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually really tiny.
Yeah.
And maybe helps play into why Taylor didn't want to do it, because do you want to join a group where you haven't met them, don't know them, and it's a small enough group that, like, if you don't get along with the main members, like, you're screwed.
No, that's a great point. Yeah. It's not like you're attending superhero school where there'll be a different clique, whether you're a jock or a nerd.
Even if there are 30 kids in the wards, like, there'll be different friend groups and you could find one that fits you. But, like, 6 or 7, like, you join that group, you're sort of part of the main dynamic and you can't escape it.
Right. Yeah, and presumably Taylor has opinions about these kids. She doesn't really voice them, but...
Well, she doesn't know them, right? Like, she's never met them.
No, but, like, if they're, I don't know, in the news or whatever, like, she's enough of a... She's on Parahumans
of what
Online.
they're like. She does say she's researched them and seen them on TV.
I have to say, the powers are so cool. Like...
They're really intense.
The characters that we have met so far, they all have really cool powers. Probably the standout to me of the ones that we've talked about is Long's power. I become more of a dragon the longer I fight.
Yeah.
But instantly here, Aegis, Clock Blocker, and Vista all have...
Oh my gosh.
They all have the coolest powers, and they're so creative. I love
they all work
so
in
much.
kind of weird ways. So let's talk through them.
Please.
Aegis, I was really fascinated by this description. You'd think he has the standard Alexandria package. So you did ask me about Alexandria. I thought it was a library knowledge-based superpower. It sounds like it's basically a Superman type, kind of the default flight, super strength, invincibility. I mean, I guess maybe I would have added super speed.
I will say the 3 capes that got listed as when Taylor was saying something like, I couldn't take on Alexandria, Glory Girl, or Aegis.
They all kind of have the same powers, yeah. But not quite. As we saw with Glory Girl, she has that weird, like, aura thing. And what we see with Aegis here, it's not that he's invincible. He just doesn't have any weak points. His entire biology is filled with so many redundancies and reinforcements that you just can't put him down.
Yeah. I want to read some of the examples. It's just so cool. Throw sand in his eyes and he can still see by sensing the light on his skin. Cut his throat and it doesn't bleed any more than the back of his hand would. The guy's had an arm cut off and it was attached and working the next day. Stab him through the heart and another organ takes over the necessary functions.
He's just, like, really durable.
Yeah.
He's like the blue jeans of superheroes. Like, you can get so much food on them that you don't even notice.
Yeah. He's invulnerable. He's functionally invulnerable.
Functionally invulnerable, right. It's not that it doesn't hurt him. And he doesn't actually have super strength. It's just that he's willing to use his body to the limits.
Right.
Because his limits are so high.
He can punch as hard as he can. It'll break all of the bones in his hand, and it won't matter. He can just keep going. Right.
So it's not like it's easy for him to punch like that. It's just that why would he hold back?
And then Taylor naturally asks, well, how do you stop him? And Brian's like, no, you don't, but we'll just have Rachel use 2 of her dogs and distract him. So the plan is just keep him distracted. Have a dog bite him. Yeah, keep him distracted.
I did kind of love Rachel's like, I don't need to hold back. For once, no, go nuts. Just, don't kill him. That does say something about how powerful her dogs are. Like, that's going to be, we haven't really seen them in action. Yeah. That's going to be fun to see.
But it's like such a, it explains why teams are better, right? Because one-on-one, similar with Lung, one-on-one, you're always going to lose.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the bugs sting Aegis. It's just, he's not going to be that affected by it.
And it's kind of like, it feels a little bit superhero subverting tropes as well. It's like, oh, there's this guy. He's basically got the Alexandria package. He's got everything. So he's really, really tough in a one-on-one fight. But because his power doesn't involve being able to, like, escape situations or be in a lot of places at once or, like, anything like that, you can just kind of keep him busy.
Right. He has to fight someone. He can't fight everyone at once. He doesn't have super speed also.
Right. And so as long as he can't, I guess as long as he can't, like, clonk the dogs on the head and knock them out immediately, which it doesn't sound like he can.
Right, because he doesn't have super strength. Yeah. So he can hit them really hard and hurt himself, but he can fly. That's a legit power. Yeah.
Which
is funny. So like, why does that go with... It's funny that is a package, the Alexandria package. Yeah. Like, why do those things go together?
I mean, I also just love the detail of... The standard Alexandria package is one of those, like, chef's kiss world-building details. Mm-hmm. Because it says so much, and it's, like, it's exactly how you would refer to it in universe.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We have enough information to understand it kind of as exposition.
Yeah.
And, they obviously don't have Superman in their world, so they're not going to say, like, he's basically Superman. But right, they do have a cape like that. And I guess it's common enough that somebody coined the term. Yeah. And now everyone's like, yeah, Alexandria package. Great. I love it.
Oh, I will say, I was saying, like, why would this be a package? It's possible that it sort of hinges on flight. Flight is really dangerous, especially if you're going to fly fast. You're going to get really hurt. So it makes sense that there would be compensatory measures. Like, either you're invulnerable or your body is just incredibly durable. And, like, any damage that happens won't hurt you that much. So I do wonder if it all kind of hinges on flight, assuming that there's, like... a core to the superpowers, and it's not like Superman who just like, well, he's just better than humans in most ways.
Right. Yeah, and that is really interesting. Right. Yeah. If you're a flyer who's not invulnerable, it's going to be super dangerous.
The bugs are going to destroy you. Speaking of bugs, so we have the second of the most powerful wards, Clock Blocker. I mean, I was correct. He stops time, and he does it in kind of a weird way. He does it... He stops time for the things he touches. So, like, if he touches you, you're kind of frozen in time. Yeah. It's a variable time, anywhere between 30 seconds to 10 minutes, and he doesn't control how long.
That. Yeah.
But he can stop time for things also. Like, he'll throw pieces of paper, freeze them in time, and someone says, like, a car that drove into the side of a piece of paper that Clock Blocker had touched would be cut in two before it budged the paper.
Right.
We're going to get bugs stopped in time.
Ooh.
They're going to be like a screen, and you won't be able to move through it because they're filling the air. And it would be like being, like, charging into, like, motionless bullets. Like, they're not moving fast, obviously. But,
I mean, it sounds like that could go pretty bad pretty quickly.
Yeah, it would probably be pretty bad for Clock Blocker, actually. Like, he'll be caught in, like, a cage of motionless bugs. He can't unfreeze them.
Right. And, like...
Some of them might freeze for up to 10 minutes.
Even if he's only frozen for 30 seconds, when they unfreeze, he's still covered in bugs.
Right, he can't get rid of them. And,
so
if it varies, like some of them might stay frozen for 30 seconds and keep biting him. Some of them might freeze for 10 minutes so he can't leave while the others are biting him. So actually Taylor's power will be great against him.
Yeah, that's good counterplay. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like this power, it's so specific, right? He can just touch a thing and freeze it in time. But then like all of the follow-on consequences, like there's the unpredictable time is enough of a downside, right? Mm-hmm. Like sort of you can't totally munchkin.
You can't strategize exactly.
Yeah. And it's sort of like if he wants to freeze one person in time forever, he can just hang out and just keep touching them, right? Like, but if he wants to be more useful than that, he doesn't know, in practical terms, if it could be only 30 seconds to a minute, he can't really count on like, I'm going to go fly around the field and tap all the Undersiders once, and well, he can't fly, but I'm going to go around. If I tag everybody once, then we win. It's not quite that powerful. And it's also not, I freeze you in time, and then we can cut off your head while you're frozen. Yeah, exactly. Right? Because he confers this invulnerability.
Tie people up, like handcuff them. Right. So I guess it'll be important not to put your hands in a position that can be handcuffed while you're fighting him. Taylor could also get caught in her bugs. That would be so frustrating. Well, I guess the narrative would probably skip over that time because she's frozen in time. But that would be so frustrating for her to be caught outside of that.
Yeah, so cool.
All right, so the third one is Vista. You asked me about this. I was very wrong. You know that myth about how the capes that get their powers young are exponentially more powerful? Vista's one of the kids who keeps the myth alive. She's only 12, and she has the power to reshape space.
Yeah.
And she's still learning how to use it, so every time they face her, she can do it more and better. Yeah.
And the example is like pulling two sidewalks close together so you can step across the street in one step, or like making a building taller. This is just like they don't really get into the details, but it's like it's already breaking my brain just trying to think about like, if this was my power, how would I use it? Mm-hmm. I'm super excited to see how it goes. And the downside of Vista's power is the Manton effect.
Right.
This is where it comes up. If a bunch of people, basically because she can affect things and not people, right, she can't just like, oh, all the bad guys are in a building, smoosh, I'm going to squish them. In fact, their presence in the building means it's harder for her power to work.
What they say is the reach of powers generally stops at the outside of a person or animal's body. You know what Taylor's going to have with her? Yeah. A lot of animals.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Fill the combat area with bugs, and maybe Vista is completely useless.
Exactly. I think she's going to be really good against both Vista and Clockblocker. She's not going to be very good versus Aegis.
Yeah.
He's just too
Hopefully
durable.
He's not one of the ones that shows up. Yeah.
Well, I guess they can't all show up. That they did sort of establish that, but like, I don't know, it feels like cheating to not have him show up.
We have got a lot of details. It'd be a shame not to see them at some point. I agree. Yeah, what did you make of that aside about younger capes, or capes that get their powers younger?
Just really fascinating world building. And it does sound like the kind of thing that would get like a rumor that would spread. It's funny that Brian describes it as that myth.
Yeah.
Does he really know that it's not true?
I don't know. We don't know why people believe it. Yeah, it's interesting.
And it also sort of establishes that most people don't get their powers that young, which we kind of knew / guessed. Like, it seems like young teenagerhood is a time when a lot of people get their powers, but Vista clearly got hers a lot younger.
How do you feel about a 12-year-old ward?
In combat? Yeah, real skeptical of that.
I mean, Taylor and Regent are like 15. But this is another 3 years younger.
That's a very significant 3 years. Yeah, it feels irresponsible of them to let her fight in this kind of situation.
Yeah. These are like book one Animorphs kids.
Yeah. I do think, like, I could see how they might justify it to themselves. Like, she has to learn how to use these powers. She's going to be a target, so she has to know how to fight back. She can't learn how to fight back if we never let her fight. Like, that's just not going to be effective.
I mean, and if you're the 12-year-old ward, you don't want to be left home.
No, of course you want to do it. It is possible they do have rules about how she's not supposed to go in combat without, like, adult supervision and such. She might ignore them.
Yeah.
And with someone that powerful, you're not going to kick her out of the wards, like what would happen to her. So,
what would happen to her? And also, Sounds like a pretty useful power, right?
No, that's so true. Yeah, you want that kid on your side. You don't want that kid becoming a villain. You want to get them in the wards.
Yeah, so we do know about the Manton effect. It doesn't apply to everyone.
True.
We get mention of a cape narwhal.
Yes.
Who can create force fields through the middle of your body and cut you in two.
Narwhal is a great name for someone who creates force fields. I thought it was someone who walked through walls, but creating walls, also great.
Yeah. So the Manton effect, I also want to highlight this as an ingenious point of world building. Because the thing that jumped to mind originally is like bloodbending in the Avatar universe.
Yes. Which kind of breaks the world a little bit.
I think the nuance with bloodbending is not totally unreasonable. It's a little bit like it's the hardest type of waterbending. But it also has that, like, it's a dark art, and if you do it too much, it makes you go crazy.
Evil somehow,
Yeah. So it's, like, really, really, like...
They have to add that weird nebulous, it's bad for you, because otherwise people would just do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, it's similar, like, in Harry Potter, they have, these are the unforgivable curses. Like, these are the ways that you use your magic that's, like, so bad.
Otherwise people would just be imperiousing each other all over the place.
Right, but the Manton effect is like a value neutral
it actually just doesn't work.
Way of constraining superpowers that it does not mean you have to address.
In a world with this many villains, people would just do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know that like any of the Undersiders' powers would be OP if they could break the Manton effect, but
Tattletale, if she could read your mind.
Well, no, that's a great point, as you said earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, Vista, it seems like, could just sort of change stuff in your body, like the way, and then your body wouldn't work.
Yeah, or it's like, right, if Vista gets, license to kill, then she could instantly kill anyone by smooshing them inside a sidewalk, right? Like, it's...
Wait, Taylor's power is theoretically not subject to the Manton effect because what she controls is living beings. Could she control the, microbiome inside someone's gut?
Ooh, that's like the bloodbending of Taylor's power.
Exactly. That doesn't seem super likely to come up, but I feel like also 10 years ago, I feel like the microbiome has become more of a buzzword in the last 10 years.
It's also you have little mites all over your face. Yep. I mean, I don't want to get into spoilers. I really like this as a train of thought. We did learn a couple chapters ago that she's sort of crabs are in. She has enough awareness of that.
Crabs are in for spring.
So I would say, in order for this theory to work, it would have to be the case that Taylor hasn't noticed yet for some reason.
Yeah, that would be
because
weird.
She talks about all the information that comes in, and if her power was telling her about all of the mites in her eyebrows and her gut biome,
disgusting.
It probably would have come up.
It probably would have.
Right,
and we also haven't seen her controlling bacteria and viruses, which would be. That maybe that's what Pestilence does. No, Pestilence uses magic, but we haven't seen that, and that would be the comparable thing.
Yeah.
So it seems microscopic, not on the table.
The question I would ask about Taylor's power, though, is sort of if you eat a cockroach that Taylor is controlling, does she lose the ability to control it? Does that sort of mean that the cockroach?
So you eat the cockroach and it's still alive?
Right. It goes inside, the Manton effect. Or not. That would be my question.
That is a good question because the way Lisa tells it, this doesn't apply to people whose only power is controlling living beings. But we don't really know that it doesn't still apply in some ways.
I think people fighting Taylor might need to test the theory of what if we eat all the bugs faster than she can use them on us. I think
there's just no other choice. They should definitely do that. So those are our big 3 wards.
Yeah.
Then we move on. Kid Win. What a name for a kid with a flying skateboard. Oh my gosh. So he's
laser pistols. He doesn't have a laser gun. He has laser pistols.
Mobile, but not that threatening. But he might have something new. So like Vista, there will be things they don't expect when facing him.
Mm-hmm.
Triumph turned 18 and graduated to the Protectorate. Love that.
Great detail. Brian's a little bit out of date, but it makes sense.
I could also see, but we're in the middle of the school year.
Yeah.
I could see this coming up. This could be a nice surprise. Oh, Triumph is here. Oh, well, I guess he's still going to that school. He's not out of town.
Yeah.
He's still going to come with them.
Yeah.
We don't learn what Triumph does. Gallant Glory Girl's on and off boyfriend. What a nightmare for Gallant. Glory Girl is the worst. No wonder they're on again, off again. It just says on and off boyfriend, but like, what a like Archie Comics era like phenomenon of being like the on and off.
Oh yeah.
Like couple.
Oh yeah. I love it. It's interesting. She has her awe and intimidation aura, and his power is emotion blasting.
Yes.
So that's actually a very interesting relationship dynamic.
Yeah. I wonder if, because we had Panacea telling her, Amy, I guess, telling her, I'm immune to your power through exposure. I wonder if that is actually true or if she just can see through it. And I wonder if, like, how would you date someone with that kind of aura?
Yeah. He can make you sad, scared, ashamed, giddy, whatever. It's not that bad, but the more he hits you, the worse it is.
Well, I was talking about just how would he date someone who has this, like, allurement power? Like, would it always just be kind of fake, or...
Oh.
Yeah, but because he doesn't have to shoot you with these blasts.
Right,
I guess she doesn't have to turn on her, like, aura or something, because she was turning it on
right.
at some
that's
point.
Interesting. She sort of controls it, like volume or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a dynamic that we see more of, or at least see some of in fan fiction when we get around to it. It sounds very fun.
This is wild. Yeah, like you were saying, the blasts also mess with your feelings, make you sad, make you scared, ashamed, giddy, whatever. And I wonder if he controls what you feel, or if it's just kind of like something gets amplified.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I hope he's there, because that would what a fun narrative where like Taylor will suddenly be feeling something. She's like, am I really feeling this? Or
yeah. I am fascinated by this, just sort of like, what's a normal fluffy day in the life of Glory Girl and Gallant? And like, are they like constantly using their powers on each other?
They have a very turbulent relationship.
Yeah. Or is it like they both of them are like, no, I'm not using my powers. No, I didn't. I promise I didn't.
I mean, blasts of light, you'd probably notice.
I do want to give you credit. You kind of predicted an aspect about Gallant way back when we first met Armsmaster.
What did I say?
This, Telltale says he pretends to be a tinker in the same vein as Kid Wen, but I think he just runs around in secondhand armor, and his power is the emotion blaster.
Yeah.
So when Armsmaster showed up, I think one of the things that you considered is like, well, maybe he's like, what would his tinker power be? Maybe he's not a tinker. Maybe he got this tech from elsewhere, and he has some other kind of like charisma-based power. So yeah, this sort of information thing. Why do you think Gallant wants to pretend to be a tinker?
That's a good question, because if he shoots blasts of light, then you're not going to disguise that. Like, people are going to notice the blasts of light. If it was just that it messes with your feelings, that would be way easier to disguise.
Yeah.
But maybe he has like a tinker object that seems like it's shooting the blasts of light, and then people would just think the feelings come from themselves.
Yeah.
And it's possible Tattletale just knows that this is what their power is because of her own power.
Yeah.
I guess I should call her Lisa. It's possible Lisa just knows this. And like, actually, it's just like, if you ask anyone on the street, they'd be like, oh, Gallant, yeah, he's a tinker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it certainly is like that emotion messing power. It seems like he's not comfortable with that being his power.
Well, it's just that it would be much more effective if people don't know that you're doing it, because they'd be like, oh, I feel so guilty. Maybe I should just stop doing what I'm doing.
Oh.
Whereas if you're like, oh, I feel so guilty. Oh, Gallant must have shot me. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But that's an interesting angle that you were talking about, that he's not comfortable with that being his power, that he thinks being a tinker would be cooler.
Oh, yeah. Well, it could be that, or just like the fact that he's messing with your head. Like, the idea is like, well, I'm doing it with technology versus like my power is I do this to people. There's a little bit of maybe putting some distance between you and the effect.
I don't know. His name is Gallant and he dates Glory Girl. I feel like he's not going to have that kind of scruple.
Well, I think that brings us to Shadowstalker. What is Shadowstalker's power?
So she can transform, she becomes extremely lightweight, can pass through glass and thin walls, and she's nearly invisible. And the stuff she carries is invisible. But she can shoot you, and like the arrow will, once it leaves her crossbow, like become solid after like a half a second.
Yeah.
So she's shooting you with real arrows while she is like all misty and impossible to attack.
Yeah. Incredible. She's like an archer assassin.
It seems like she nearly killed someone with one of her crossbows, and that's why she had to join the wards. She was going to be like a solo hero, but she almost killed someone, got, arrested, and she's a probationary member of the wards.
Yeah, not just shot someone, but nailed someone to the wall with one of her crossbows.
Yeah.
And Brian attests that even though she's supposed to be using non-lethal ammo, she's not. So what do you make of that? I would posit that this is the first character we have seen that is actually kind of like a path that Taylor might have gone on. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
She's a vigilante. In this case, she went too far and seems to be a rule breaker even after she's joined the wards. But yeah, what do you...
I mean, I was just thinking, I wonder if this is Taylor's future. Or if this is an option that Armsmaster will offer her once he arrests her for being a villain with this gang.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's a great point. It's not like the wards already have someone in them who, doesn't sound like Shadowstalker declared herself a villain.
No. But if Taylor says, no, I was undercover, then it's possible she'll be believed enough that she won't just be arrested. They'll
you could take probation.
Have some kind of deal.
Yeah, fascinating.
I don't know. I don't see it going there. Her becoming a member of the wards doesn't seem like where the story is going. Maybe I partially just think that because the next story is called Ward, and I feel like that's the one that's going to be about members of the wards. And because it seems
there are
like
a lot of words before we get to that one, so...
a lot of words before Ward. But you did tell me there are a lot of shoes left to drop, so who knows? Maybe she'll go to Arcadia High.
The last thing about Shadowstalker is just this little detail that she's Brian's nemesis. This came up before, but
she thinks that Brian is her nemesis.
Right. Which is, it's so funny because he just seems frustrated by it, which is just his personality. But I absolutely love it. But their power, it's kind of for power-based reasons.
Yeah.
In that their powers have an interesting interaction where basically being inside Brian's darkness reduces all of her abilities. Mm-hmm. So I totally understand why that would be annoying. But the problem is she's still incredibly lethal. Uh-huh. So Brian can kind of see her and track her better. She can't really see him.
But she's still shooting him. Yeah.
But she still has an incredibly deadly crossbow. So it's basically if they're both on the field, they can effectively indefinitely stall each other. It sort of creates... It's a similar...
An intense game of tag, yeah.
Yeah, and so similar to the thing with Aegis and the dogs, it's a little bit of here are two capes that when they run into each other, basically the only effect is they're both fully occupied the entire time, but they're not going to be able to help anyone else on their team.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the wards. It does seem like they're going to meet the wards. It would be pretty inconvenient if after this we met New Wave instead, though we have seen enough of New Wave that if New Wave were also to show up, we would have enough context to know what was going on, even if there are a couple of new heroes.
Yeah, that's true.
So their prediction is that the wards will come, answer the distress beacon or whatever. That means New Wave won't show up. But Glory Girl seems pretty ungovernable. They're a little bit rogue on the field. I could see them showing up anyway.
Yeah.
They could actually step on each other's toes and make it easier for our gang to escape.
That's interesting. Right. Yeah. So it seems worse if more heroes show up, but maybe
but they're not working together. Yeah. It could be to our heroes, to our villains' advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
So they basically leave it, Taylor is still, she is not happy with the situation. She admits to being a touch nervous. Rachel says she doesn't have to come. Brian's like, if you are having second thoughts, which, is the kind of thing he seems like the one of the group who considers himself responsible enough to want to give her an out. And he also really likes her and would, is showing her sort of respect and consideration. And if you are having second thoughts, and she says, yes, she is, but she's also having third thoughts, fourth thoughts, but she's not going to let that stop her. So they make a plan for Brian to get her a phone. And she can order whatever weapons she wants from the boss. The boss is willing to cover all of their expenses for this as a one-time deal.
All right, so we're going to have some more things in her utility pouch next time.
That's so true. She's going to have a weapon of some kind.
Yes.
And Yeah, we're moving on to the bank robbery. I feel like either we could have another setup chapter, next chapter. If we have, like, Taylor go home and, like, process some stuff, like, see her dad, maybe he finds out she's not going to school. It seems too early for that. But, like, I think more likely we'll have a little bit of that, but we'll get to the bank robbery in the next chapter. And we probably won't finish it in the next chapter. We'll probably be in the middle of it, have a little bit of a cliffhanger chapter ending. Exciting. Yeah. I have one new name for you. Okay. Professor Haywire. Someone who touches technology and it breaks. Yeah. So yeah, another game of tag style cape, but he just tries to get into the server tinkers. Room. Yeah, just sort of like a professional Luddite. That is very funny. I love that idea. I feel like I should predict how the bank robbery goes. Okay. I think they are going to be successful. I think that it's going to have a lot of moments where it feels really dangerous, and I think it's possible that Taylor will be exposed, might be too strong a word, but like that the wards will know that her superhero or her cape identity was there. So she's going to be more exposed than she wants to be. Mm-hmm. I also think she's going to get hurt again because I feel like the injuries are mounting up, and that's a trend that's going to continue. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the others is also going to get, sort of middlingly seriously hurt, where no one's concerned about their lives, but like, they aren't, whatever body part they're going to lose, they aren't losing it yet. Yeah. But I think there will be some injuries. Perfect. And it will be very difficult to get out, but they're going to get a lot of money. And Taylor's going to feel really guilty about this. She is currently being a successful supervillain. Yeah. And the wards know she is a villain. Right. It's going to get back to Armsmaster. Ooh. Yeah. 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 Could be rough. Could be. Well, I look forward to it. Yeah, next time. On Inchworm. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.